Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Sarina Abdullah from School of the Arts, University of Science, Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So we are very happy today as we have Dr. Karna from the Dean of Faculty of Art and Creative, is it Creative Industry, Dr. Karna? I keep on forgetting.
They use the word creative industry, design.
Creative industry, okay, in design. In our ResearchIN session this afternoon, okay, as the overall, coordinator for this program, okay, which is under my office, the Office of Research, Innovation, and also industry and community engagement. We organize ResearchIN session monthly now via online. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator for today, which is Dr. Muhammad Ashik Makdesa from the New Media Department, who is gonna moderate our session today and introduce Dr. Karna this afternoon. Okay. So without further ado, I leave the session to you, Dr. Ashik.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Dr. Sarina. All right. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to all who follow the program brought by the School of the Arts, ResearchIN. I'm Dr. Muhammad Ashik, who will be the moderator, and today we are lucky because we are able to present respected speaker from Universitas Unggul, Jakarta, Indonesia, Dr. Karna Mustaqim. Is the Dean of the Faculty of Design and Creative Industry. In this session, Dr. Karna will share a presentation on research entitled In the Line of Research, which is a personal journal of knowing. Before we call Dr. Karna for his presentation, I will read about his background. Dr. Karna Mustaqim complete his PhD in comic study at the Faculty of Art and Design, University Technology Mara, UiTM. He received his Master of Art in Visual Communication and New Media at the same institution. Formerly taught Foundation of Graphic Design, Creative and Art Methodology, interest in art practice-based research, typography, media, traditional free-form drawing and digital illustration. Recently, studying comic, ceramics, writing, drawing, and learning the phenomenology of aesthetic experience are becoming his predominant interest. It's a very interesting topic to be discussed in this afternoon session. As a well-known artist, we can see how the research and artwork can be brought together in academic knowledge. So without wasting our time, we invite Dr. Karna Mustaqim to deliver his presentation and hope everyone this afternoon get a good benefit. Please save your question as we will open the Q&A session later. So now, Dr. Karna, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Sarina, who initiated to invite me in this session of what we call a postgrad design method, kind of that, yeah. And then also thank you for Dr. Asik becoming our moderator, and also welcoming all the students of postgraduate. My presentation will be about a kind of storytelling. I will try to share things that I have passed in the several years on what we call it, on trying to know what is actually we call research in art and design. I will not separate that arts is art and then design is design, but this is become what I said, that the fine arts and then the design came from the same source, that is art itself. So we do not debate on to differentiate arts from design, or to differentiate fine arts from designing good things. So this is my position, because we can see many others people that still debating that arts is more have a more freedom, and then design have a limitation because they are problem solving. But actually, the differentiation is only based on what are the products or what are the thinking. So my position here is to see or to share uh, some views or some vision about uh, the things that the background of the ground about doing research in art and design. Please let me share. I think I will start share, and then my presentation is on the PDF, and then I think uh, everyone can read. So I just passing by and then try to share about my experience lah. So this title is In the Line of Research, a personal journey of knowing. Okay, this is a quote that I taken from my my first uh, research method lecturer, Dr. Kamaruzaman Muhammad Isa. We call him uh, Dr. Kemi from UITM at that time in 25, 2005. He said that as a researcher, we have to keep in mind that I don't know yet, and I'm about to find it out. So this is still, I have credits to him. And then for me, this is beneficial for background of thinking. And then I try to see, what is research is about. For me, okay, this is a specific I don't call it paradigm, but my way of knowing. It's a journey of knowing into the unknown. Unknown is like kind of a ill-defined problems. If you are from the design, you will see it as oh, we are problem solver. So this is a weak problems or ill-defined problem, not yet a known problem. But if you are background from the arts, this is a journey into to search something that you still don't know. If I already know, why do I need to do the research? So we do research into something we are not know yet, in which we call it research. Uh, Research for what? For the meaningful world. This is kind of uh, words that I found lately in phenomenology. So my journey is start from my background as a graphic design, as an illustrator, as comic artist, and then also do some product design, merchandising, everything that we as a artist or as a designer doing things, creating things, making things. Nothing so specific to do research in the kind of academic research. We do research, yes, but our research is like looking for inspiration, looking for what we call a sample. We're looking for what do our clients want, our customer wants. We're looking for some knowledge about the products you want to make, or some knowledge about what the kind of material you want to do. Then we do not alert that all of it is part of the kind of a research. Okay, this is a prelude. Our research, our journey is a lonely journey. Yes, we have friends, we have a colleague, we have classes, we have our lecturers, our supervisor to discuss, to talk about our research, our not research, our titles, our topics like that. But at the end, not at the end, at the beginning, while we back to our home or we go to the library, we are alone with our topics, with our thinking, with our mind, with our problems. So research is a contemplation on certainty. It's a purely contemplation. We started it all with simply went to, like I said, sat in, search on library, looking all the possible books, articles, offline, online sources, onto the title on the topic of research. Uh, we also learn or we also study things. What is research? We search for the methodology of research, the research method, all with the word research, without knowing there is something about or behind, or we call it a priori things before research. So we make notes here and there collected in an album or some notebooks. I will show you later my books. I have a books, notes books that I write about all the hybrid methods, triangulation, qualitative, quantitative, approach, design research, all the words that we can see in the library or research and on the internet. What is research? Okay. So we attend the classes on methodology, like now. Yeah, all the students attend a class of research methodology. This is my experience to share about the research method on the screen through the webinar. My experience when I was in UITM, we attend once a week the classes by our lecturers, supervisors, lecturers that will tell us many different kinds of methods, not just quantitative, not just only qualitative, but also the method like survey research, uh, questionnaire, or like I said, kind of action research, and then many types of research that they have a name for it. Participatory research, yeah, grounded research, and then also differentiation of the scientific research and also the social humanities research. Many kind of research methodology that we read and read, and then we hear, we listen to our lecturers, our supervisor, and then as a practitioner of design, as a practitioner of artists, we felt unease. Where should we put our, our practice of making artistic for our own pleasure, or commission works, or designing these useful things, beautiful thing, aesthetic stuff, merchandise for people, for audience, can fit into those research realm. All the terms of research and research method, the methodology is very alien for our daily words or daily vocabulary. And then this is my findings. I have to confess that first and foremost, I have to confess that artistic practice and designing things is actually not compatible with those things called research. This is, you have to realize. After we realize, and then we start to think, what is research between the scientific and then the artistic? Because I say that it's not compatible. Because if we still brings our mind as an artist or as a designer into the research realm, especially the research academic. Yeah? There is a research that I actually told you that research done by our daily works. We search for the inspiration, we search for example, sample from books, we search to the museum. It's also called research, but not that kind of research realm that we pursue in academic uh, environment. And also there's a research in like a office, like marketing research. Yes, that's also called research. That's quite similar to the research academic, but the purpose is different. It's not to gain new knowledge, but to gain data, collecting data, documents, to know how to sell things. In the academic research, the main interest is not on how to sell things or on how to create things. How can we that usually or oftenly our background as artists or designer, making things, designing things, creating creative works, and then now we have to put into the words, and we have to search for the theoretical background, and then have to create a framework, a schedule framework on how to do it, a very step by step, and then a very conscious process. This is a truly different area. So I reintroduce first here from my experience. My experience when I start my master degree, 2004, I start by uh, try to know what is scientist. So we can see that the term scientist is very new. Yeah, 1833 by William Wilhelm, an English philosopher and historian of science. And then Einstein called Galileo Galilei as the father of modern science. So scientists claim themselves as a founder of things, while artists claim themselves as creator, designer, designing. So this is a difference, um, difference of mind thinking behind the way scientists look into the world, and then how artists look into the world. This is my earlier journey to find what is research in art and design. And then I read, yeah, I read some books, many books, but two of these books that become my personal background to after read Thomas Kahn, The Structure of Scientific Revolution, I understand the paradigm. So I use this paradigm to defense artistic research. And also I found about the Karl Popper's The Logic of Scientific Discovery, introducing falsification. So the principle of falsification is to falsify, to challenge the verifications in scientific exploration. So these two become my background to defense artistic research, to defense the designing research as a practitioner, to defense or to challenge the scientific research realm that already known, already give our future, our nowadays life with the scientific. We can have many invention, many things solve problem, and also in the pandemic with the scientific research we have the vaccine. It's not kind of that we can do in artistic research. We cannot use artistic research to find the cure for the corona or the for COVID-19. We cannot use we cannot use artistic research or design research to find a vaccine. So these two have to be separate, not separate like art and design separating, but we have to see that artistic research, designing research, and scientific research have a different purposive, have a different background, also have a different realm. Okay, many of scientific research asks to read the current or the new journal, but we have to know, yeah, this the structure of scientific revolutions and the logic of scientific discovery still be read by scientists. Yeah, so this is a new edition or new printed anniversary edition of the structure of scientific revolution, and then also the logic of scientific discovery. This is the basic if we want to defend our artistic research or defend our designing methods. We have to know what is the research realm in the mind of scientific exploration. And then also I found some books that interesting about the paradigm. Egon Guba in a paradigm dialogue, he stated that the choice of methodology should be a consequences of ontology and epistemology. Now we have to turn to the more philosophical background. This is many of our researcher miss, and then also our designer or artists that, oh no, philosophy. They have a mind of philosophy is hard to read. But in every research, we have always already presupposed what our object of research is. This is the books, the paradigm dialogue, and then the other one is the arts and the creation of mind. Hello, Esnel, our education scholar in his book in the arts and the creation of mind, 2002. He identified. So this is quite new. Art-based research is quite new. Yeah, still maybe on 2 decades. Research need not to be scientific to count as research. Research can be art-based as well as science-based. Art-based research begins with the recognition that the arts as well as the sciences can help us understand the world we live in. So this our research have different has different objective with the science. We can work together. It doesn't mean that art is art, science is science, but arts and science can work together to help us, to help people, to bring consciousness about how to understand our world. Art-based research is a way to ensure that science-based research is not monopolized. So the choice of methodology should be a consequences of ontology and epistemology. What is ontology and epistemology? Okay, this is the diagram that I found. I'm not creating. I have to use the words I found because we are trying to be not as artists or designer who create things, but we are trying to become a scientific or scientist that found something. So I found that the positions of the study of the arts in the research realm, our paradigm is here, that we have a intertwine and then oscillation between the quantitative and the qualitative. The ontology is about how we look on the subject, because if I say that my position is a scientist, so every scientist is a subject. Every artist, designer is a subject. The object of study is outside the artist. It's outside the designer. It's outside the scientist. The object is out there. Then how? Epistemology is how we gain the knowledge. So we gain the knowledge through some method. But our knowledge is built up from the subject so from the object that outside ourselves. That will be a discussion on ontology, epistemology, and methodology. But while in the art realms or design realms, we are not only as a subject of who studied an object, we sometimes use our feelings, use our intuitions, yeah, and all of it came from inside us, from our internal, from our ideas. It's not only by searching outside the object, but also searching into our subject. That's why in art and design we have the subjectivity, and then what kind of ontology that allowed the subject also become the object. That's the discussion on the ontology, epistemology, and methodology. That's why artists and designer who wants to become a researcher in the realm of the scientific research or academic research must read or must understand about the philosophical background, about our ontology, epistemology before we go for the research method. So if we do our research that mostly approaching the quantitative, approaching the technology, approaching the scientific, our research will become more scientific. But if our research is more to the humanities, more to the persona, the psychology, the persona of the artist or the audience, our research will be more to the philosophical inquiry, humanities, or human science research. And then art and design is actually have the methodology that intertwine, oscillation, move forward, backward between the quantitative and the qualitative. It depends on what objects or what subjects that you want to do the research. So it can be that what I'm trying to do is purely quantitative, or what I'm trying to do is purely quantitative. It's not like kind of that, because art and design have to manage, yeah, the flow between how to do it quantitatively and qualitatively. And then if we read books from the methodology books, research method, social science have the term, they call it mixed method. This is kind of terms that also a definition that as a beginner of a research in the realm of scientific research, academic research, we as artists and designer should read uh, as our basic knowledge. It's just a basic knowledge before we jump into the jungle of a different kind of research method, different kind of way of thinking, and different kind of way of doing. So actually, many beginners of the research focus on the method. They always ask how to do the research. They rarely ask why should I do this method. So my suggestion, yeah, is better if you start from uh, like a reverse gear from the methodology that you already read in the research method books or the research methodology book, or any many types of research method that you already read. You pull it up from methodology into the ontology of arts. Because why? Because there is a presupposition. Presupposition is like why we do this kind of or this type of method, because all our research is based on the presupposition of scientific research, while we are doing artistic research or we are doing the designing research. So our presupposition is lies in language, within which any scientific understanding itself is possible. Our language is already have the basics knowledge about the scientific one, not artistic one, not design research one. So this is kind of interpretation of reality is inevitable in every understanding. So you better know that from the point of view of art and design, doing the artistic research, doing the designing research, it will be different if you are doing it on the scientific research. Okay. This is kind of the if you start to realize that as an artist, as a designer, we have our subjective point. Art researchers should be bracketing our presupposition and describing the phenomenon which appears to the research in the direct experience. The subject or the researcher immersed into the world of phenomenon. What we see, what we want to do, it depends on how we see it. Now, the way we see things in the world as artists, as designer, is quite different from the way the scientists or the what you call the academic world way to see things. We see things in the workshop. We see it. Oh, how can I create? I said, well, how can I create a new artworks? We go to the shop. We look into things. We look into the objects. Our mind thinking up about how can I make something new? Why can I make something out of the things that I found in market? Is this kind of like in the artist, we can say that Master Duchamp call it what we call it found object to become artworks. Duchamp is a sample of how artists are thinking like a scientific research, thinking like a conceptual. They get the conceptual arts. Duchamp and his colleagues start the artworks to think about art by himself. But art by itself is like the conceptual arts become more philosophical. Okay, this is two kind of book that's many books out there, but these two books can be, maybe you can start looking and then try to find it, or not knowing how artist thinks. So artist thinking or designer thinking is not to imitate or just to replicate things that already there, but they try to discover, they try to explore an area and a field of research that unknown. I don't know yet. See, I don't know yet, and I'm about to find it out. What I try to find, I don't know. So we are jump into a unknown place, like a frozen, if I go into the unknown with the title of the songs. It's actually what the artist and designer do. It's not known yet. So the problem is when the research method, the scientific research method meets art. The method meets art. The particular particularly she tried to she tried to write some books, wrote some books that art-based research practice, and then try to explain about the mixed method, the quantitative, the qualitative, and then turn into the participatory, turn into the community research, and then the art-based research practice. It's a good book that explain uh, the more friendly, the research method books that are more friendly to artists and designer alike. Mostly research methods book or research methodology book is more to the scientific one or the social science one. Okay, this is some questions that I cannot provide the answer, but this is kind that before you do the research, you have it in mind that how do we know what art is? In what way that knowing by art is possible? Does it have to contribute to scientific knowledge? Should it be scientific one? What is knowledge and what kind of knowledge is considered in art? Can it contribute to the scientific knowledge, or art contribute to what kind of knowledge? How can we consider that the knowledge of the artist, the knowledge of the designer is considered as knowledge or considered as scientific? Okay, research and the arts. Okay, like I said, we do not separate in saying art practices or designing things. So research is particularly research that is known so far as an intention to research again and again into particular problem of science or social life. Like, yeah, this is the commonly we know to solve people problem of disease, like such as currently COVID pandemic, social access in community, marketing and selling products. This is what I say in formally. This kind of research that we know. So sciences, through its technology contribution, enhance people's lives, such as tools, transportation, gadget, medication, public policy, law, order, and etc. We already have the benefits from the science that doing research and then its technological contribution to enhance people knowledge, people's lives. What kind of contribution that artistic or the aesthetic object of things has given to public wellness? So we can say that what Dr. Kamal Sabdan doing, maybe kind of contribution from artistic musical research as aesthetic of musical that contribute to the well-being of public. Can the art and design contribute to the discovery or presentation of scientific findings? And we can see that uh, many scientific medications that is actually done by by the doctor, they use their intuitions, not only by subjects from books or the manual books or the scientific like what you said um, SOP, they're like only not those standard operating procedure, but sometimes the doctor, the medicative people, they use their intuitions. So this intuition is very close to the artistic method. Can art and design contribute to help, yeah, the scientific findings through the presentation of artworks, the presentation maybe from the films, uh, motion pictures, recording, etc. Can it be? We at the beginning of the journey, or it's called as a researcher, what is all about to me as artist and designer to do with research? How do we do to deal with this alien kind of activity? What artists or designers should do with research? Can there be artistic sciences? So not only the scientific research, but also can it be artistic sciences? Okay, so this is my story. I teach methodology of creative in degree. This is works of my student degree. So uh, my introduction to the research world is came from the formalistic method. A poster designed by graphic design student. Uh, the analysis, the poster is from the Japanese graphic designer. It is a very famous geisha poster. And then I asked the student to read the theory. This theory came from semiotics. Charles William Morris, semiotics, syntactics, semantics, and also pragmatics. And the syntactics is about the principle of design, the principle of art. The semantics is about the meaning of the form. So they try to analyze. This is a kind of uh, trying to formalize the analytics, this kind of research for the students to understand why this poster is good, why this poster is aesthetically good, what kind of theory that support it, and how can we analyze and learn something out of it. So this is a process to bring my students into the research realm, not doing things only by intuitions, but by researching academically or scientifically. Okay, this is my first study on the UITM. While the lecturer give us topics, subjects that about a good and bad design. So I brings up that a good design came from the brand, Cellcom brand, yeah. And then I analyze it through the mathematical. So this one here, the left one up here is using the Fibonacci. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, 2 plus 3 is 5, so on. So this is, we can see the length of the logo fits the Fibonacci. And then also they have a very geometrical and then very mathematical. Also the division of the logo itself, and the circularity, and also the composition of color. Okay, this one is more to empirical aesthetic. So I give my students, yeah, some of advertising, books design, painting, typographic experimentation, illustration, basic design, yeah, playing with the point, lines, and space, and then I give them a survey, a questionnaire, and then this questionnaire is not to see uh, what is good from the design, but to see can they understand the principle, the basic elementary, or we call it the elements of arts that dominate in each and every artworks. So this is kind of, we try to study the artistic, yeah, the aesthetic with the empirical evidence. Okay, this is my study on visual music. So I give simulation for the 4 school, UITM, Lim Kok Wing, Bina Nusantara in Jakarta, and UPH in Jakarta, in Tangerang. All the classes I give about 800 students. So they made only lines. My study is only the elements of lines, not with color, but not studying the color, only studying the lines. I give them 3 kind of music: the traditional gamelan, the rock, yeah, the instrumental rock, and also the other one is more to the jazz musical. So this is some of the outputs. So I eliminate almost 200 to 300 sketches because they include, they draws objects in there. So I eliminate the objects one, and then I only pick up and only collect that purely using lines. This is the others. And then after that, I do something that we call it extracting. Yeah, this is an extraction. I extract the characters of lines that I found from almost 600 drawing from the sketches, drawing from the students. So this is part of it. Yeah, the characteristics of lines that I found in their works. So it's about 200. Okay. And then from this output, yeah, I try, not me only, but I also ask my friends. I try to make a composition. So at the end, this composition is not come to me by only intuitions. Yes, when I try to make a compositions, it's still using intuitions, but my knowledge about it is came from former research. So from here, I study how the students react. I extract the characteristic, and then I choose some of the characteristic and made my own compositions. So this is not kind of research that I can say it's scientific, but it moved from the scientific one into the artistic one. This is the analysis. We make a category for it's got, we can see that the creative method has some kind of what you can say, some kind of categories that we can extract, we can analyze, we can make a morphology or the taxonomy of the items, of the lines, text, and then the combinations. So this is the morphology taxonomy term itself came from biology. Yeah, the techniques of naming things. If you know about the biology, they have to name the animals, the plants with the specific scientific name. That's the method of the taxonomy and also the morphology. And then I read some books and they have this method, and then I borrow this method into my research. This is my uh, master degree research, visual music. This is kind of how artists and how musicians doing their visual, their music. This one is Kandinsky. This is one is from Paul Motta, the musician. This one is artist, painter. This is a musician. He made a musical composition that is not usual. This kind of poster design for the dance is kind of the application of the poster design for the musical exhibition. This one is motion graphic and visual music. It's just a visual music by Schrödinger, Esconberg, performing like a symphony, but by using also the visual. Okay, this one is my personal journey. I do like realistic drawing, drawing beautiful models, sexy model, and then also my interest in comics, line drawings, and also I made the digital coloring. Also, I experienced with the graphics, comics that use more to the graphic design method, and also I get lines, pencil drawing with details, yeah, and then after that, I turn into the abstract. How come? Because while I'm doing my visual music, I have a new knowledge, or not just new knowledge, but a new area to discover. It's all about lines of drawing. And I made comics that purely abstraction of lines. Lines. From lines, I found new things that is called writing. So from drawing, I turn into writing, but not writing in the verbs, in the vocabulary, and the things that already known. This is called asemic writing. That is, asemic means the writings itself doesn't have a firm meanings. It's not meaningless, but because if you try to read it, it seems meaningless, but you can see that it tried to communicate. So asemic writing is quite new. There's a groups of people that call it post-literate. So I found another unknown area, a new field of studying things or making things. So studying and making, researching and findings, new things. So this is my works that I have an exhibitions in Argentina, like calligraphy, like lettering, but also looks like ancient. And I turn it into the artworks. A message from the future. Yeah, the message from the future about the past that appears currently or appears now. And then from the other side, while I'm doing the artworks, I'm doing my research, I also creating try to creating, this is my discovery, like not finding, not creating new one, but I try to manage my my knowing here, knowing there, knowing some theories, some aesthetic philosophy, and then etc. And I look into the semiotics. So I create, so I discover this triangle from Charles Sandler's semiotics model. This is my behind my thinking while I'm doing my works. So if I can say that this finding also the frameworks of my thinkings through the theoretical semiotics. But this semiotics is not for cultural analysis. This is how to use semiotics to create works, to create artworks. So the triangle is came from Aristotle's logos, ethos, and pathos. I use the Charles Morris, I use the William Morris, and also I use the Roland Barthes. So I create about how to explain visual form, the context, and the content. I also teach my student in graphic design, in product design, about how to explain uh, our works, yeah, our design by using the visual semiotics. So it's become more scientific explanation. And then this is my study on that I want to share to you. There is kind of a research on the arts. So if you do the research on the arts, it means you use outside art and design knowledge, like from the philosophy, from the psychology, from the social science theory, to explain about the arts. The other one is research of the arts. It's like research of the arts is like you doing it for the first degree. You search for things, you search for inspiration, we search for the readings, and then we try to communicate it, or we try to make artworks based on our inspiration, our reference. And then we manipulate things, we create things, we designing things, we making ours. So this kind of research is by the Bockdorf is called research of the arts. So the former refers to the what is art. What is art should be objectively to both treats art objectively. Then come, yeah, at the 2 decades, they debate about the postgraduate for art and design research. So they call it research in the arts. So the art practices as the research activity. So it's not the ends products or the ends artworks, the ends of designing products. It's not the output of research, but the process, the creative process, the designing process, the practice of artistic is the research findings itself. No clear and distinct research question or hypothesis. It's practice, discovery lead. Yet, for the writings itself, we need to write the research question, the hypothesis. But you know, the research question is based on the social science background. The hypothesis came from the scientific background. For the artistic and designing background, it's not clear. It's not that it doesn't have a distinct research question. It leads by our discovery. So this throws the artist and designer in the open of the unexpected outcomes during the practice. The research becoming the art itself. Okay, so this is some of argument, yeah, that art brings truths into being, real effective, unexpected knowledge, the not yet knowledge, the unknowledge. So probably it will be kind of like we're doing research, but it's like we are telling our story, our journey from not knowing into the unknown area, and then we knowing the unknowledge through our research, through our discovery. So it's not like I want to create this, so what should I do? No, but it starts with I see these things potential. I see this thing as problem, and I want to solve it. With what? I don't know. So I start from don't know and then become know. But what kind of research, what kind of knowledge that I will find it, we still don't know. So the process of creative process, the process of research itself, the process of making arts, the process of the practicing on try to understand what research is be, what is the process of creative. This in between, we call it the artistic research. So while scientific research reveals things as if a suspected object need to be understood, there's no need to wondering anymore. So we study about the electricity, we study the lightning, we study about the the outside, yeah. But after it was discovered, we lost the wonderful of the things. People lost its magical wonder. Because what? Because we can understand it with the formal, like understanding, like scientific understanding. Water. What is water? Water is H2O. But the artistic research return to the things themselves and reveal it as it is what a wonderful is. We bring back the wonderful. It brought back our world of wondering to daily practice of living. It's kind of like if we already know people's body has an internal organ A, B, C, D, liver, stomach, and etc. But when we create artworks based on anatomical, based on the internal organ, we bring back the wonderful of the body parts, and then we give the content, we give the context as what we say that everybody will die. When we die, we only left our internal organ. So we see it not as a doctor, not as a medical people want to cure, but we bring that we have to appreciate our internal organ. We have to appreciate our anatomy of body because this is our self into this world. So this is kind of it's just an example how artistic research brings back and reveal what is wonderful about our world, while the scientific research try to explain it so people don't become wondering anything because it was already explained. But artistic research bring back people, audience to question it again, to see it as a new things, like kind of that. Conclude. Okay, this question is remain imaginary. Yeah. The unknown whereabout there are any differences between scientific discovery and artistic discovery? Is there any specific differentiation between the scientific discovery and artistic discovery? Artworks can be made from scientific base. Could it be called scientific findings based on artistic discovery? Come in my mind is a scientific art of art. Can it be a scientific finding from artistic discovery? Okay, this is kind of defense from artistic, but based on scientific findings. This is a formula, ya, from direct. So ini saya tulis dalam bahasa dan meaning that the physicians see this formula of direct is one of the most amazing beauty of formula. Direct playing with the formulas, not with the pure mathematical rational, not with the empirical data facts, but using his own intuition. So even mathematicians have an intuition while they try to create, discovering formula. And then the consequences of this formula in 1928, it give birth into the predictions of antimatter in 1951 by Carl Anderson. And of course, now we know the string theory. If you ever heard this string theory, the M theory, that sounds like a science fiction. If you read books from Michio Kaku or from Brian Jane talking about the M theory or string theory, that our world, our cosmos is made of fabrics, and all this relate with the string. This theory also relate to relative theory from Einstein. So even Thomas Kuhn believed that the scientist community choose our Copernican system because it's aesthetic. This system of our matahari, our bumi, ya, our semesta ini is more simplified and more amazing by the system, by the formulation of the Copernican system. So even the scientists, even the scientific community, they believe in aesthetic. But now we have another challenge. The term aesthetic itself has become so scientific. Yeah, some scientists say that penuaan, yeah, getting older, getting elder, getting crippled is illness. It can be cured. So older, you getting older, it's because you have a specific illness. And then we see that there are aesthetic clinics, laser and medical aesthetic clinics. So aesthetic is become like tools for curing people. So this is a challenge. Is that kind of artistic research that contribute to scientific discovery? Is that kind of that? So I give it back to you as our students or postgraduate to question it by yourself. Thank you. That's all from me.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Dr. Karna, for such an interesting presentation and wonderful journey. Many ideas that can be utilized along the way Dr. Karna is doing in his study and artistic work. Hopefully, it can provide inspiration to all who are doing research at this point. So now I open the Q&A session to all who are pleased about the study and presentation made just now. If you have any question, you can start now, or you can shoot a question in the chat box. Then I can read it for you. Okay? Anyone?
Please
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Or maybe I can start first, Dr. Kana. All right. I know you already talked about this, and then as a conclusion for everybody in this program, I think they can get a very clear or easy understanding based on your question, your answer, right? Very interesting understanding expressed by Dr. Karna just now. Agree with the quotes from Dr. Kemi. If you already know what has been achieved, it's not a research. Can Dr. Karna explain what level of preparation is required to ensure the prospective student, all right, need to be there before needing their study? If you don't have any understanding of the required topic, it is considered unprepared. But if you are already know all the research process, it is considered that the study are already been made.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Karna.
Thank you for the questions. This is the this one is a very tricky. It's I think it's more to the philosophical, yeah. But I'm not trying to explain it with philosophical. This is kind of like we have experience, we have read books. That's the problem. If you have experience and then you do not read books or read journal or read articles, it can be seen that if we think by ourselves, there is a problem. Okay, I will put it into a smaller area. Problems in art or problems in design. If we only based on our intuitions, that will bring ourselves into the artistic practice, not artistic research, only practice or designing practice. Oh, I like to create a bed mobile. So I see that this movie Batmobile is not very good. I have to create one more suitable. So while I'm just doing by intuitions, I did not read that, oh, there is another person that already taken this topic. They already create many alternative Batmobile. So I talk about the hobby from the hobby side. So we think that our design, yeah, we create at the prototype, and then we post it in the media, in the social media, and we claim it. Oh, this is my authentic design. But as we know, we can search by image in Google, in the internet, and then when we post into the social media, and then people try to put into the Google image searching, tada, we found out that there is many alternative Batmobile. So that is kind of that I say that if we think by ourselves, so it only become a artistic practice or designing practice. But while we see that in the social media, in the Google search image, we see, oh, there is many alternative of Batmobile. So we start into the realm of research at the beginning. So it's research, we search for this one created by whom, what it's all about, why he doing this design, why he choose this kind of model, why he or she choose this kind of a color, a shape. So we start to question it. So while we start to question it, we go into the realm of research. We're looking for the reference. But at that moment, we understand, we realize I still don't know what to do, because what I first think that my design is truly authentic. Now it's like, okay, it's just a common. So how can I put my Batmobile design, alternative design, become something new into my findings? So this is a condition that separate the artistic practice, designing practice, and the artistic research and the academic or maybe designing research. We start from intuition, yes, but and then we start by and then we follow up it with reading, searching, research, and then we realize that I still don't know what to do with this design. So my explanation may be just simple as that. If we don't care, just like we say, oh, I don't care, uh, I still say that, oh, my design is the best one, my design is an authentic one, this is bad. It's not the kind of research attitude. But while we see that there is many others, and then we're looking for what kind of design that I can uh, create by looking at the many things in here, in there, and then I try to search what is the meaning of what is the meaning of it. So it's come like, okay, I already jump into the area that I don't know yet what I'm to find about. So this is the journey started.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Karna. There's another question from Amal. Is documenting knowledge or raising up the knowledge of something to the art field considered an art research? Example, document artist, opinion or public understanding of specific things.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Okay, so uh, the the artists and the designers' problems in the beginning of the research is documentation. So part of the research is on documentation, but we cannot say that if I already have documented everything, and then that's it, that's the research. Not that simple, because we have to look into other areas like historical research. The historical research, what do? They can be only collecting documents from the past, from the field research. They collecting every each document they can find it. Also the objects. While all the objects or the documents he or she reads, after that, what he doing? He or she need to interpret it. So while collecting the data, we have to look the research method. Oh, this is qualitative data. This is a quantitative data. This is a hard science data. This is a soft science data. This is even a stone need to be interpreted. So the interpretation process become parts of the research. So that's why I said we cannot interpret things if we do not have theoretical framework in our mind. If we do not have reference, if we do not read, formal research on it. So documenting is part of the research, but all the documentation need to be interpreted. So the art of interpretation itself is a philosophical. It's also a theoretical. So how can I interpret the data? How can I interpret the document, the objects, the stuff that in front of me? Now, if you are social sciences, you interpret it using the theoretical. End up, or the output is the writing itself. But if you are an artist or you are a designer, you create things out of it. But if you only are using the data and then you interpret it by intuition, creating artworks, creating the final products, that is what I call that was a research for the arts, research for the design. It's a level of a degree, the first degree. You create things, you get inspiration, you read things, and then from it, you create your own works. But at the postgraduate level, at the master level, or at the PhD level, you look into the practice itself, the process, the interpretation process, and then you we criticize itself. So it's like learning by doing and then understanding by yourself. So supervisor will maybe will lead you, maybe will become your debate partners, but it doesn't mean that only documentation and then end up products. But in between your documentation and then not yet end up products, there is the research. So this research will lead you where to go. Into what? Into still nowhere before you step into the research process. Maybe more or less preparing documentation is a preparing, but to interpret it, we do not only need to have the documentation, but we need a framework, need a theoretical framework, need to read the article, need to read the journal to find whatever people have done with this thing. Kind of that. Thank you. So the other is
Thank you, Dr. Karna. Good explanation about that. And any other question, guys? Maybe from our associate professor, Dr. Serena. Do you have any question, Doctor?
No, not yet.
Okay, I give one more question. This is more relaxed. Relaxed answer, really direct to answer. Artist practice and designing not compatible for research based on the quotes. What is Dr. Karna opinion? What is the best for an artist or designer to do research? What are the best tips for maintaining their study or research and their previous field that's a part of their life?
okay. Uh the quote is like to challenge our own opinion because if we compare to the scientific research, to social science research, artistic research or artist designer become PhD, taking the master level is quite new, as I said. It's not at least only 20 years, ya, baru 20 tahun, 20 years, 2 decades, compared to the 100 years of scientific discovery or social science, humanities from like Levi Strauss, yeah, they almost have 200 years. So what can we do with the 20 years discovery? So this is a challenge that can artistic or designing research be compared to the scientific or social science research? So if I provide an answer, it's not an answer, but more to the challenge, because I still don't know yet, as I say, we still don't know yet where or how or when will artistic research or design research can be compatible, can be compatible with the kind of a scientific or the social science research. But the shortcut is, if you are an artist or a designer, you turn into social science and then you become a cultural studies researcher, or you become a scientist. At that positions, you are not an artist. You are not a designer. You left behind all the artistic practice. You left behind all your designing practice, and then become purely a researcher, scientific researcher, or social science researcher. So that's the challenge. How can the artistic practice or designing practice still can be put into the research realm? So this is a challenge. Can artistic practice become contribution to the findings for the scientific discovery, or can maybe scientific discovery but presenting the arts as arts? So this is still an area that we can play with.
Yep, understand.
Can I perhaps add to that a little bit, Dr. Karna? I think what you presented today is very true. It is quite a recent phenomenon in which you yourself sort of mentioned about 20 years. It's quite recent. But I think at this point, it is very important because how does the scientific research or scientific researchers, social scientists and all that, did their research, what they did was to ensure that these researchers gets published, see? But I think there are a lot of hesitant for those who are doing artistic research and even design research to write about this research or artistic research journey or design research into a proper writing journal, because that actually consolidates the kind of the peer review or the kind of gatekeeping of who did what, on what basis, the kind of the community, the research community. Okay, because if we do not have or contribute in terms of publication, okay, writing, that's the whole point of writing, having, all the lecturers were arguing against, getting KPIs and stuff like that. But the point is that for you to have your research, though it is artistic or design research, or even if it's personal journey and whatnot, but it has to go through a certain peer review community. Okay, so that's when all of these researchers, though you can be doing artistic research in your studio and whatnot, but if it's not written and presented in such a way that can be accepted and reviewed and approved by so-called the community itself, the researcher community itself, either design or artistic and all that, then it's hard for you to be able to sort of situate your practice within the larger artistic research community. So that's when the publication is, to get your works publish is very important in this manner, because that is the kind of validation or the kind of approval that must be attained from that kind of, you when you're doing artistic research, you cannot be submitting your paper to a scientific, journal, see? So it's totally different area. So you need to go to the right, the right journal for it to be reviewed and commented and all that. So I think in a way to, we cannot just argue that, okay, we are doing what we do as artists, what we do are also a kind of research without having that sort of like validation and approval within a community itself, the research community itself.
That's why I said that the art world, can I say that the art world, the art realm, or the art community is not compatible with the scientific research or scientific community. But unfortunately, our research realm, our research world is already dominated by the scientific. And then when we artist or designer step into the research world, which is already dominated by the scientific one, how can we deal with them? That's why this is a question. This is a challenge, because what we already, art and design already have their own community. So what can I say that Picasso do not need to write a scientific paper to create the cubism. Paul Klee or Monet did not need to write a scientific paper to claim about the impressionists, but there is other people, that curator, that write them. But since this kind of what you say, publications, and then also the peer review, the term peer review, the term validation, is all came from the scientific. It's already dominated by the scientific. Art world itself have their own community, have their own way, but it doesn't fit into the scientific community. So this is not a war, but since we in the academic, it becomes like there is a art world community, there is a scientific community, and the academic should become in between to manage how to bridging the scientific and the artistic. So this is the question, that can it be a different way of not publication but peer review? Like, okay, we have community of art, we have museum, we have galleries, we have art collectors, we have art students, we have art lecturers, design lecturers, we have a design movement, we have art movement. All of it should be compared to the scientific one. But since we can see that it looks like okay, artworks is collectible, design is collectible, action figure is collectible by person. It's not looks like things that scientific. It looks like arts. So can arts be compared to the scientific one? Cannot. That's why artistic research or designing research practice have to have their own what can I say? They have their own capabilities, their own community that defends their work. That's why I said we still have to pursue the 100 years, 200 years scientific communities punya contributions. So art contribution and the pandemic era, what arts can do to help society in the pandemic times. My answer is simple. To bring or to apa namanya? To get people to understand that the healthiness, the well-being is not only from the medication. It's not came from vaccine. It also can come from if you're happy, or if you doing something creative, or you can bring arts into the society. So the arts is not belongs to the collectible items. The artwork is not belongs to the art collectors, but the art things that people or our society done into themselves. Now this one uh, cannot be said that a scientific contributions, but this is kind of the artistic contribution to bring students into the society. I said example, to bring students to the activity of society, to bring happiness. Like I give a concept of happiness, to bring happiness, because you see so many people tenggelam dalam kesedihan and sadness, become moody. So this is part of maybe a psychological one, but we are not doing the scientific psychology, but we are doing the intuitively. We are doing artistic way of making arts into the society. So can we say that need to be validated? How to validate the artistic? Using the survey, using the empirical, or else? So Dr. Sarina, my challenge here is like, how can the community of arts, yeah, brought together to defense the artistic practice or the designing practice into the realm of research, but not as a scientific research, but as an art and design research itself. So it's become more proud, not proud lah, tapi but more confidence like that, that arts or art-based research is comparable with the scientific research without the needs that we have to follow all the scientific validation verification. Because if we read the Popper, say the falsifications, the research realm, the scientific research realm, need to be challenged, need to be falsified. Yeah, because if not, it's not scientific. It become myth. Popper already said that if everything that we accept as a normal, as a science, then it's not scientific. Things need to be challenged. What can tell? What can we? How can we challenge the scientific research method? There is a falsification by doing the artistic research method or designing practice research methods. So this is just a beginning and then still ongoing. How can we change the validation into more suitable to the artistic realm or designing practice realm? Verification. Maybe we could take a peer review by the community. By community from what? From art collectors, from curators, from museum, from gallery, and etc. From the artist itself themselves. Macam itulah kira-kira. So ini memang satu challenge untuk
Yep.
The art community, how
Exactly.
to elevate themselves to challenge the scientific research, scientific realm, and bring up the art realm, art communities as apa yang namanya, a same domain lah, not scientist di atas, scientific di atas, art di bawah,
Go
atau art di
parallel.
atas, scientific di
Yeah,
bawah.
yeah, exactly. Okay, perhaps Dr. Karna, I try to combine two questions. Perhaps you can answer in a simple way because we already now in 4:30. The first one, it is acceptable from Amal. It is acceptable to start work with the work first, then do the research related to the first one. The second question, as a graphic designer and artist, how this will help you in artistic research journey. So I think you can combine both question
Yeah.
and try to answer in this. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. If we do the work first and then we try to find the research related to it, it is usually called a reverse gear method. Reverse gear means you look back into it. But even if you do the research, reverse gear research, when you try to find the related research that may be compatible or may be similar to your artworks, you will find uh, another maybe reason. Yeah, not reason in the term of alasan, but reason as a rational argumentation. Your rational argumentation to create these works, even it was intuitively, will not 100% similar to the other maybe research that relate to your artworks. Even this is the beauty of the research. Even if 10, I give a sample, 10 cartoonists, caricaturists, see the caricature, while they try to caricature a person, the 10 cartoonists or caricaturists will not end up with a similar drawing. They will uh, have a priori, or they will have a scheme behind their minds that leads the cartoonist or the artist or the cartoonist or the caricaturist drawing that person into different type of drawing. So it is acceptable if you do the reverse gear, but believe me, you cannot, you feel you not that I judge you, but you cannot just relate it to your works, because your works relate to you and you relate to your background, your a priori scheme. So while you do the research relate to it, this is just the part of beginning. You know, you begin to wondering, you begin to see, like I said, at the example, yeah, bad mobile. Oh, I like the bad mobile, but I think it's not good. I create the ones. After I create this one, I think my design is already authentic. But while I put it in the social media, I see through the Google image searching and then find, oh, there's so many. It is kind of that. So it's acceptable to start with ideas. It's still ideas. You create it, but while you do the research, you have to question back all of your practice. That's the research. If you did not question, you did not do the questions or criticize your own design, it's only a designing practice or the architect's practice. It's not research. The research starts when you questioning your works, when you're questioning your minds, when you're questioning what you have done. That's the research. If not, oh, I already done. Okay, thank you. I get the money. Okay, thank you. I sold it to collectors. That's the end. That's why the difference of we as a practitioner doing this, doing design, doing exhibitions of our artworks, and becoming researcher. Okay, and then about the graphic design artist. Oh yeah, you can see from my presentation that actually I see that arts is its own being. Arts is not the stuff. You see, graphic design or my artworks or me myself is only like a tools and instruments for the art. So I see that the art is not God, ya, not Tuhan, ya. Tapi because we are artists, we are designer, we see things through the art. What is art itself? The art is the bringing forth of the truth. What is true? When I try to make artworks, when I try to do designing, I have a calling. I have something behind me or above me that directs me. That's what I see, that's the art. That's the being of art that leads me, control me, or directing me. So this is the paradigm that is not familiar with us, that we are not the artist, we are not the designer if the art did not choose us to do the works. It's kind of something that we say that artists selalu cakap, always say that, why do you want to be designer? Why do you want to be the artist? Why do you want to be the lawyer? Ada panggilan jiwa. The soul is calling me to become a lawyer. The soul, something is calling me to become a doctor. There's something calling me to become an artist. There's something calling me to be a designer. So the artistic journey, as me as a graphic designer, as me as an artist, leads me to that I want to study. I want to know what's about the becoming an artist researcher or designer researcher. So there's a being of researcher that leads me, they're calling us to do the research, kind of that. But if you are pursuing research for all just for my degree, so I can get more comfortable remunerations, this is different reason. In here,
Yeah.
I am talking about the more like the soul calling types of becoming a researcher. Maybe this could be part of the answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Karna. That's all for today, I guess. Thank you, Dr. Karna from Universitas Unggul, Indonesia,
Thank you.
for willing to spend time with our program. On behalf of our School of the Arts, USM, apologize if there is any shortcoming in this program, and thank you for everyone involved today. Hopefully, we will meet again in the future,
Insyaallah.
inshallah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kana. Thank you so much.
Mas, terima
Stay
kasih.
safe in
Thank you
Indonesia.
everybody. Watem. Thank you Dr. Sarena. Thank you Dr.
Thank you,
Hasim.
Dr. Karna.
Okay.
So thank you also, Dr. Ashik, for moderating our session today.
No
So I would like
problem at
to
all.
have the rest of the participants, please, maybe you can, do your reaction emoji to a clap perhaps
Yes, please.
towards the end of the session.
Yep. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. All right.
See you and
Assalamualaikum.
see you. Assalamualaikum.
Okay. Bye bye.
Waalaikumsalam.